Welcome to the Tzurba M'Rabanan Hilchot Shabbat Program with Rabbi Shalom Rosner. Tzurba is a revolutionary halacha sefer which guides you through over 300 topics in Jewish law in a unique signature style. In this weekly series specifically, Rabbi Shalom Rosner learns through the Tzurba Hilchot Shabbat volumes, helping us all master the Halachot of Shabbat in just 2 years. Tzurba volumes are available for purchase worldwide on Amazon. And to learn more about Tzurba, or for those in Eretz Yisrael looking to purchase volumes, please head over to tzurbaolami.com. For more information, see the description below. And now, Rabbi Shalom Rosner.
Okay, let's get into the next Shiur, the Malacha of Melabein. We are in Volume 21 of the Tzurba, the Lax Family Edition. This is the Mervis Family Volume, Volume 21, and we are talking about other very important Lamaisa Malachas of Shabbos. We spoke last time about the past 2 Shiurim about Asiyas Ohel and being Mosif on an Ohel, and the next 2 Shiurim we will talk about the Malacha of Melabein. Melabein cleaning, that often there are those that act in a way that is immediate and knee-jerk, but one has to control themselves and remember that it is Shabbos, and we have to blend Shabbos along with the mitzius of the begin in front of us. So let us start the Malacha Melabein. So we know Melabein is one of the Lamates Malachas. The Mishnah tells us, we're on page 73. That's what we're going to start, on page 73. The Av Malacha of Melabein is whitening and cleaning wool, because we know the middle malachas of after the Sidur de Pas, after the first 11, that we have the next malachas that are all about wool, gozes. We spoke about in the last volume. We spoke about shearing, cutting one's nails and cutting hair, combing one's hair. Gozes a semer malabno. So the Av Malacha is whitening and cleaning wool that comes off the sheep. That's what Rashi says. Malabno b'chabso benar, washing it in the river. The Rambam tells us that any type of cleaning of any beged, of any absorbent garment, let's call it, so that would be an Issa D'Oraisa of Melabein, and that would be a Tolda. Says the Rambam in Hilchos Shabbos, in Perek Tes Halacha Yud Aleph, source number 3, Hamachabes begadim harayu Tolda Melabein v'chayev. If somebody washes clothing, then it is a Tolda of Melabein, and one is chayev for the Daraisa. The Aruch HaShabbos explains in source number 4, Hamalabein is Semer, who echa milamet hazavas malachas, washing. Well, what do you mean? I'm not washing any wool in my house? No, that's the Tolda comes up all the time. Pu'ulas halibun hu kibus hatsemer hagomi. The Av Malacha is taking the raw wool, the crude wool that just came off of the sheep, getting rid of the dirt that is attached to it before shearing. Hamachabes begadim utolda shamalechas malabein v'chayev chatas, and that is a daraisa. As we will see, each one of the stages of the washing process is going to be a problem for the malacha malabein. Is going to be an issa daraisa. And the same way, amazing, the same way that we wash clothes today, they washed 1,000 years ago and 2,000 years ago. There are 3 stages of the process, and each stage of the process is usher, is included in the Isra Melabein. Right? Let's think about the modern washing machine. There's the soak cycle where the water goes in, and then there's the agitation cycle. We hear it, the machine shaking where you're scrubbing it, and then there's the spin cycle where the rinse cycle where you get the water out. Each one of those is considered part of the cleaning process. That's what they did in the olden days. They put out this huge pail where they put the water, and they put the clothing in, and you let it soak, and then you shake it around, and you squeeze it out. Same 3 stages apply to our malacha. So stage 1 is soaking, just applying the liquid to the beged. That's already usher. If somebody, as we'll see, gets a stain, somebody all of a sudden a drop of ketchup, a drop of cholent goes on my shirt, or what's the first immediate knee-jerk reaction? Oh, just get it wet. Oh, I'm not going to scrub it. I'm just going to apply it softly. That doesn't work for Melabein. That's also usher, right? Schita, if you're soft by schita and squeezing, so then there might not be an issue of schita if you just dab. But can't dab any liquid. No liquid. That's the first stage. The first stage of the washing process of Melabein is applying the liquid to the material. So that is what the Mishnah tells us in Shabbos. Now on source number 5. Source number 5. Mo shalakar menaras akar ve'noflos. If you have money on a pillow, then this is what we spoke about in our muksa shiurim. You can lift up the pillow, and then the money will fall. Remember that was called tiltul min hatzad. Haisa alav l'sleshes. If there's some dirt on the pillow, makancha Bismartut. You can wipe off the dirt with a garment, with a what we would call a shmata in Yiddish. What is smartut? Says Rashi there in Shabbos, Kuf Mem Beis, Makancha Bismartut, V'lo yitin alamayim, but no water. To stam kar shel begedu, because a pillow is made up of a absorbent material, ubeged. Here's the lashon: shriyaso b'mayim hu kibuso. The soaking in water is its washing, and that comes from a Gemara Maseches Zvachim. You have it there, Tzadi Daled. Shriyaso zeo kibuso. The soaking is its cleaning, and therefore, just applying liquid to a beged with some dirt on it is aser daraisa. The question is that there are two other Gemaras that seem to say that it's mutter to soak, to saturate, or not even fully. The Gemara says in Yumayin Zayin, in Source number 8, Tana Rabbanan, if somebody is going to see their Rebbe or to see their father, over al tzavaro b'mayim v'nachoshesh. If somebody on Yom Kippur, and Yom Kippur and Shabbos have the same halachas regarding this, so you could go through the river to get to your Rebbe. What do you mean go through the river? What about your begadim? You can't violate. You can't be machal Shabbos. You can't drive a car to go see your Rebbe. So how could you walk through the river? If washing your beged, if wetting your beged, shriya so zeo kibuso, if that's a problem, then how could you go through the river to go to Rebbe or your father? Or the other Gemara also, the Gemara Beitza Yudches discusses that if a woman does not have any tar clothing to go into after she goes to the mikvah, she can leave her begadim on, go to the river, the mikvah, in her begadim. So even though you're not supposed to be misaki, not supposed to be tovel kalim or begadim. Nowadays we're only familiar with tovel and kalim, but in the days of old, even your shirt could become tamei. So the Gemara says that a woman could go in with her clothes on loosely, obviously, so the water can get in the zochatzitza, and that's okay. Says the Gemara, Amar Reb Chia bar Ashi, Amar Rav, Nida she'ein la begadim, ma'aremes v'tovelas begadeha. A woman who doesn't have any begadim, a nida, she could go in with her clothes on. What do you mean? What about shriyaso zeo kibuso? So how could the Gemara say in Zvachim shriyaso zeo kibuso? And that's what the Mishnah says in Shabbos, that you mechancha besmartut, only a dry smartut. But these other Gemaras seem to say that you're allowed to walk through the river, you're allowed to go in the river to be tovel. What's the difference? Major machlokes baalei Tosfos. Machlokes the Ri and Rabbeinu Tam. And both days, as we'll see, are quoted in the Ramah. Ri and Rabbeinu Tam, right there, Shabbos Kuf Yud Aleph from a base, Im Tomar. Heichi shari hasam likanis begadeha. How could she go into the mikvah, even though she doesn't have any other begadim that are tar? How could she go in? Neima shriyaso zeo kibuso. Shriyaso zeo kibuso. That's what it says in Maseches Zvachim. Two answers. Answer number one. The difference is the beged clean or dirty? A wedding, shriyaso zeo kibuso, only applies to a dirty beged. If the beged's clean, it's clean. What are you making it cleaner? It's clean. The only time you say shriyaso zeo kibuso is if it's a dirty beged. These cases where the woman's going to the mikvah, or the person's going to walk through the river to see his Rebbe or his father, that's where he's wearing clean clothing. That's why. Says that's the first answer. V'yesh lomar dedafka heichadika tibas dam otinuf amar shriyaso zeo kibuso. Only if there's dirt. To bahachi mari perak dam chatos. That's what the Gemara in Zvachim is talking about. Umatza ri. So that's the sheet of the Ri. Note the first day of Tosfos. Rabbi Tam has a different answer. Are you cleaning? You're cleaning. That's if you soak a beged, that would be cleaning it. But let me ask you, right? When we do wash the tilas yadayim for bread on Shabbos, and then what do you do after you wash your hands? Part of the mitzvah of washing your hands is drying your hands. You make the bracha beforehand. But we dry our hands. 1 second. We're wetting the towel. Isn't that a problem? So the Ri would say, it's a clean towel. But Rabbi Tam gives a different answer. Derech lichluch. Right? Are you cleaning or are you wiping? Is it not an act of cleaning? Says the Rabbeinu Tam. Umatzari muka b'sefer hayashar. Dela amrin an shriyaso zeo kibuso bedavar she'eno kiyem lichloch. If it's wiping, kamot sipug ba'aluntis, like drawing, absorbing in a towel of a kinuach yadayim b'mapa, wiping your hands on a cloth. Major machlokas. What's the reason for the heter? Is it because it's a clean beged, or because you're wiping, you're not cleaning? Right? Nafkaminas, you might say, page 77. Nafkaminas is, number one, if you have a clean beged. If you have a clean beged, the Ri would say, that's the pshat of the Gemaras. Rabbi Tam would say, it doesn't make a difference. Right? You can't soak, right? Even if it's a clean beged, you can't soak it. And the other way, right? If it's a dirty beged, the Ri maybe would aser, even if it's not totally clean, water. Right, even if the liquid is not truly clear, Rabbeinu Tam L'chor would matter it because that's derech lichloch. So that's not so clear. Bir Halacha says maybe even the Ri would allow it. Maybe the Ri agree. The Ri holds both. The Ri doesn't only hold clean, but maybe he also holds of the heter of derech lichloch. That's what this Bir Halacha suggests in Shin Beis in source number 11. Mikol makom manias daiti lo berira davar kolkach. The Yesh Lomar de derech lichloch lekule alma shari. Kule alma shari could be. Shulchan Aruch doesn't say beferish. The Shulchan Aruch there in Shin Beis Siftes. Shulchan Aruch says aval beged sheishel of lichluch. If it's dirty, asur afilu l'shachshacho. You can't scrape it off. The zeo kibuso. So who does he paskin like? If it's dirty, so you might say he's paskening like the Ri. Meaning the Ri says if it's dirty, so that's where it's a problem. But if it's clean, it's not a problem. But it's not clear, right? He quotes here from the Achronim that say that the Shulchan Aruch is not clear. The Ramah quotes both days. The Ramah quotes on that sif Shin Beis Sif Test in source number 13. Ubeged she'enal lichluch muter lazis l'mayim muatim. A beged that has no dirt, you can put a little water on it. Saturating a beged, we discussed that a little when we did dash and schita. You can't saturate a beged because gzera you might come to squeeze out the beged. But mitzad libun, the Ri says that the first day of Tosfos says there's no libun, so you can put a little bit of water on it. V'yesh oser mechol inyan, but the Ramah says some aser Rabbeinu Tam 2 days in the Ramah whether cleaning, the malacha of shriya so zel kibuso, whether stage 1 of cleaning, of soaking, does not apply to a clean beged. 2 days in Tosfos, 2 days in the Ramah, because it's a potential da'oraisa. The Bir Halacha says we should be machmir. Sheish lav lichluch, says the Bir Halacha, v'hinei ladina. Ayin bir agrash, a kasav, the nacha l'gedei arishona, emeinu miskavin l'kvisa. The Gra says maybe the first daya, the more mekel daya is me'ikar adin, as long as you don't have kavana for washing anything. After all, it's clean. Ubeliyah rabba mashma gam kein shadas rov rishonim kadei arishona. The first day of me'ikar adin we paskin, there's no isser if it's a clean beged. Mikol makom. Kivan sheish kama rishonim shemachmirin bazeh, because there are some that are machmir, v'chein das atur, bevada yesh lachush lahachmir be'isur Torah. So, lamaisa, one should be machmir, unless there is a tzorech. If there is a tzorech gadol, so then one would be able to do it. Rather, come in the case of when water spills on a tablecloth. Water spills on a tablecloth, that's the, when there's any bir halacha. V'nir the beis hatzorech, source 15. Ein lahachmir shalo b'koach. As long as you don't scrub it. Scrubbing it's going to be stage 2. Now we're talking about, remember the 3 stages of the washing process. We're all in stage 1 now. Soaking. Shriya sozik, just touching the liquid, the water, to the beged. That's all we're talking about here. The scrubbing we're going to get to. The dasrov aposkim, the beged she'ein bo lichloch, lo amrin shriya sozik buso, v'gam ein miskavin l'chabes. As long as you don't have kavanah to clean, and it's clean, so then it would be mutter me'ikar hadin. The Alkid Yosef also says that me'ikar hadin is mutter, but least lachmir lichat chila. The Mishnah Berurah does say on that sif Shin Beis sif katan mem vav and mem ches. Here you have it on page 79 that even according to Rabbeinu Tam, who's machmir, that says you can't wet a clean beged, but like what he said, if it's derech lichluch, you can. Right, like the drying your hands after you wash. Why is that mutter? Why is that? That's derech lichloch. That's wiping. V'yesh osrin. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Umikol makom im nesinas mayim ala beged u'derech lichloch shari, and that would be mutter. Just the last point here in this section, Shulchan Aruch and the Ramah also discuss whether one could use dirty liquid. Dirty liquid coming into contact with a clean fabric, dirtying something. Not every opposite of a malacha is usher. We have tofer and korea and kosher and matir and bona and soser. Some, but some opposites are not. Right, dirtying something. If it's soveya, that's something else. But let's say wiping your hands on your hands are dirty. Wiping your hands on if it's a cloth, if it's a disposable napkin, or it's also poskim or meko. What if it's a cloth napkin? So that already, maybe there's l'chad chila not to, because you're coloring. But again, this is another heter that you might say is derech lichloch. But again, that's what the Shulchan Aruch discusses here towards the end of the siman. Haroches yadav, source 18. Tov l'nagvam b'koach zebezu lahasir mehem amayim. It's good k'viyachol konshi nakvim mapa. It's good to dry your hands as much as you can, like shake off some of the water before you dry it. V'yesh kasvu, says the Ramah, de'en lachush lazeh. The Lormina kriyas kabeg ezel kibuso b'ki agavna de'en zerak derech lichloch v'chein no hagin. That is the heter. Okay. What about materials that are not absorbent? Right. We've been speaking about absorbent materials. But what about if leather? Is leather absorbent? The Mishnah seems to say not. The Mishnah seems to say not. The Mishnah says in Shabbos, that same Mishnah that we started off our Shiur today with. Source number 20. Mo shalakar manar zakar ain't no flows. Right. Tiltul min atzad. If you have money on a pillow, you can shake the pillow and the money will fall off. Haisalav lishleshes. If it has some dirt on it, mekancha besmartud, you can wipe it with a dry towel. Haisa shel or, but if it was made of leather, you could pour water on it. If it's leather, then it's not absorbent, and therefore you can pour water on it until the filth is cleared off. Rashi quotes that pouring water, the Mishnah says. Doesn't say scrubbing. Maybe Rashi is saying that leather, even though if you just pour water on it, it's not going to be absorbent, but maybe there's some type of absorption if you push it in, if you scrub it vigorously. Says Rashi there, Shabbos Kuf Mem Beis. Umiyu kibus mamishlo. You can't do actual kibus. V'hol v'stam karim v'ksasos rachim. Since they're generally soft, shayach lamerabu kibus ba'aros rachim. If it's soft, it's not like a countertop which is very hard, but it's leather, so it's soft. Umiyu shuyasan lo zeo kibusam. Just putting water on it is not going to be a problem, but scrubbing it with a little force, that will be a problem. V'chein b'forish b'zvachim perak dam chatas. Shulchan Aruch, based on that, Paskins this way. Mutter Shulchan Aruch, Shin Beis Sifta, same sif that we've been talking about. Mutter litein mayim al gabi minol l'shachshacho. Shoes. Let's say shoes are made out of leather. So what does the Shulchan Aruch say? You can put water on it, on leather shoes. Just do if you have some dirt, on surface dirt, you can put some water on it. But to vigorously rub against it, that's a problem even by leather. Because that's stage 2. That's not just soaking, but that's scrubbing, and that would be a problem even for these types of materials. If you look in source 23, the Dirshu Mishnah Berurah says also, Revel Yashiv and others say that it could only be done with a light touch. The Aruch HaShabbos discusses, what about other materials? What about other non-absorbent, nylon or plastic? Says the Aruch HaShabbos, V'da, source 24. If the hides are tied together with threads, the threads themselves are absorbent. Asul sharosam, or you can't be-soak them. V'chein ein lishros na'alei orim ein tfurim bechutim. Right, if you have shoes, even if they're leather shoes, if they have shoelaces or they're tied together, v'hu adinim yesh bena'al chalakim asuyim ibad dasul shrosam. You have some parts of the shoes that are made out of a bad, some other material. I'm not mean lishros as a or b'mayim shemuravim ma'am chomer nikui. And you shouldn't use other type of cleansing agents, which maybe are even stronger than just water. Just water wouldn't absorb, but a certain cleansing agent, maybe they're made to absorb in, and it's like a vigorous rub. And then he says, mutter lishros yurios plastic, v'nylon b'mayim v'emazem isser shriya. There's no isser of putting water on plastic. The shriya element. And bola masayim doesn't absorb, but maybe like leather, plastic like leather, you shouldn't scrub it vigorously. Right, let's say you're cleaning off a tablecloth. Bishamis or kibus, you shouldn't scrub it vigorously. Other poskim think that maybe plastic is different. They don't absorb water at all. Rabbi Shalom Rosner and the Ar Latzion assumes plastic, maybe leather, maybe you can understand it's a little absorbent, but plastic doesn't absorb at all. Says the Ar Latzion, nylon lo shayach bo kibus, kibus she'ena b'lei klal, v'havi kikli eight she'em kibus klal, like a piece of wood. Umutagam l'shafshafo v'komo kosos v'asumi plastic, like plastic cups. There's no issue of a rubbing. But other poskim say, maybe one should be careful in this regard. Ramosha Feinstein in Yoredeya Chelik Beis about scrubbing plastic tablecloths. Rub them lightly and softly. With Rahamapo shel plastic, says Ramosha. Mikol makom kivan shloshayach limso dinzem mefurish. Dumin chadash shadoros lefaninu. It's hard. It's a new material. They didn't have this in the days of old. Lo ro osam minaroy lahachmir. Better not to. Soaking, it's no worse than leather. And rubbing softly, but not to rub vigorously. Shalol l'shav shlif yavdayim b'chozek shu kein shifshuv tzido zelzeh. Rak l'nakos yemayim b'kalos yish l'hakel l'kulei alma. And the Pnei Halacha also says wood is not a problem because that is not boleya at all. What about other synthetic items? So that's what is discussed by the Shmir Shabbos. Says that maybe they don't absorb at all, and it's like the plastic according to the Arlat Zion. Begad shasui chomer tahor shel sibim synthetiyim lo taro sibim tivium. Zero. There's no natural fibers. It's only synthetic. Vugam eno tafur bechat haasui sibim tivium, and it's not even sewn together. It's all artificial. It's all made out of synthetic. Mutar l'shrosa b'mayim. Again, there's it's like the plastic, and you can be soakik. Again, we said, like Lachadchila, it seems like the poskim say, all materials, even the plastic and the others that don't seem to be absorbent at all, it seems like one shouldn't rub them very vigorously. And the Akad Yosef also says that. Archa Shabbos assumes maybe synthetic is worse. It's worse than plastic. In the Archa Shabbos in 30, Beged ha'arug michutim syntetiyim nira sheish bo iser shriya. Maybe there is an issue of shriya, but again, it seems to be that the poskim generally are makel. What about washing dishes? So you wash dishes, so dishes aren't absorbent. But what if you want to wear gloves? Can you wear gloves when you wash dishes? Again, in cold water? The answer is yeah. The gloves. You're not trying to clean the gloves, right? And the gloves are just protecting you. So they're plastic. So even if you're scrubbing against the plate, but what do you mean? You're scrubbing against the glove too. The Aruch HaShabbos assumes that's allowed. So even if he'll be machmir by the synthetic, he assumes kfavos gumi shehislach lechu. If they got dirty and now you want to scrub them under the water to get the dirt off, it might be an issue, because that's again rubber or plastic that you're scrubbing vigorously. But while you use the dishes, it's not going to be an issue. But he says afterwards you shouldn't do it. You just do it softly. Just do it softly to try to scrub them to get them clean. One final thought for this year, and they're all related again to Sharia. Next time we'll get to the issues of ringing and agitating, and that is contact lenses. And contact lenses has over time become different. The science has gotten better, but the question is, what about putting contact lenses into a solution to clean it? So again, if somebody wears daily contact lenses, you just throw them out. They like to talk about when you open up the package and you take it out. There's no issue of taking something out of a cleansing solution. But what about putting into a cleansing solution? One has a renew solution and you want to clean with it. So that seems to be a machlokas aposkim. I think the minhag ha'olam is to be makel, that there's no shriya so zeo kibuso by the contact lenses. If you look in the Aruch HaShabbos, he discusses hard ones, and I think today most of them are soft. So he says, Adashos maga kashos, if they're hard, muter l'shrosa b'nozav yuchalehem. So those aren't absorbent at all. V'chein muter l'lakosa v'dei shif muad kimikubo, and a little scrubbing. Adashos magos rachos, but the soft ones might be the serlip. And why? He must be assuming that there's some type of absorption. Tamo isser l'shros adashos rachos b'nozal nikui, in a cleansing agent. Homishim shenozal miyuad l'nikui ha'adasha. Right, the nozzle, the liquid, is made to clean the lens from dirt that goes inside of it, and dirties it. Even though it's like leather, and leather, there's no shriya sozeo kibuso. He thinks even or that got soaking could be like, right, you're not just like softly putting some water on. Soaking it, that has the same status and effects as a vigorous rub, and therefore he is not a fan. But if you look in the Pnei Halacha, Yilkarai Blaich has a long article about this, right? He quotes from the article here in Contemporary Halachic Problems, volume 5. He assumes that it is not a problem. It is there's surface dirt. The surface dirt is not absorbent at all, right? They're not absorbent. It goes through. It might even go through the contact lens, but it's not absorbent. You're allowed to disinfect them, hard or soft. Shadinam kalmidin mapas nylon is even better than nylon. Shemutu l'shafshafam berachos. Shebenozav l'kach shadashos einam bolos. They're not boleh at all. Kamen achshavos kebeged. They're not a beged, and therefore it's not kibus. So therefore it is all going to be allowed. You have a picture there on the bottom of the contact lenses, but this is all related to Shriya. Shriya Zozer Kibuso, which is the first part of Libun. But next time we'll have to get to the second part of Libun, where we're talking about the next stages, the wringing out. Baby wipes, huge topic, baby wipes. Again, that's not Shriya Zozer Kibuso, but that's regarding the second stage of wringing. Okay, we will, and then we have to talk about libun that is not connected to water. What about shaking off dust or the like? So that we will have to see in the next year.